Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies, episode 210, titled This Is Why We Don't Entrust Plans to Muppet Babies, which premiered Thursday, January 23rd, 2020 on the CW. I'm recording on January 24th. It's just under 24 hours since the episode has aired, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Quick YouTube shout out to Maria Lira and Jasper Benson K for your comments. Maria Lira for the previous episode. I realized I didn't answer one obvious question. I probably should have. So there's that. But for Jasper, for your answer, I have to check if I can find it somewhere before I can answer it, but then I'll get back to your comment after that. But thank you for leaving a comment. I do appreciate that you want to know if I will cover this particular series, but I'll get back to you on that. But otherwise, I'm going to try to do this in 25 minutes. So let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So episode quote itself, "This is why we don't entrust plans to Muppet babies." Can you really guess who says this? It's actually Lizzie saying this to Landon. Surprise, surprise. It's not. So that's something there. Timeline, though, I'm not actually sure how long it's been since 209. I'm pretty sure, if anything, it's like the next day because of the creature that was featured was seen at the very end of the previous episode. But specifically, this day is focusing on what the student witches are calling Coven Day. I don't know if that's something just the school hosts themselves or specifically because of what day on the calendar it is. I think it was a meteor shower, or it was some type of celestial event that was going on. So I don't know if that had any connection to it or not, though, but the witches were focused in this episode about Coven Day. So there's that episode reminder. As I mentioned, Coven Day, the fact that we get a lot of witch business in this episode. So that is something there. But the future creature of the episode, which we did see a first peek at the very end of the previous episode with the Necromancer telling them your task is to go into the Salvador Score to retrieve the Mora Miserum, or the Sand Clock as I call it. Or I call it the Hourglass of Darkness type thing. But the creature is a Qareen, which apparently brings discord and chaos as it grows stronger to become a corporeal form, or to not be invisible anymore. However, they aren't invisible to the fairies, and their power magnifies insecurities in their victims. It does not create them. So this the school was like a breeding ground, a perfect opportunity for it to become corporeal enough to snatch the sand clock and try to escape with it. So that's something there. I will say the design of the creature was fantastic. I don't know why, but it's just like, it's obvious that there was like actual physical special effects, not CGI or anything like that. It was actual like old school special effects going on, and great makeup job and everything. It must have took forever to get that person in costume, quote unquote, but it was phenomenal. I love the look of it, no matter how creepy it was. It kind of looked like they could be like a cousin of the Krampus creature that we got in 208, but I'm digging the vibe as far as monsters go. So there's that. Let's move on to episode breakdown or storylines. I picked up on 3 different ones, or I tried to at least, because a lot of things were like intermingled with each other a lot. But I did pick up on 3 focuses, I guess you could say. We got 1 being Coven Day, 2 we got Crumbling of the Sand Clock, and then 3 we got Landon's training, which I think were featured a little bit more. But the first one deals with Coven Day. We do get Emma coming back from Japan because Alaric asked her to, because he needed help with one of the students. We're kind of alluded to maybe it's Alyssa Chang. After the way the episode ended, I'm thinking it could have been a different student. But she comes back not only to deal with that, but also kind of like to lead the Coven Day events, kind of like be like the main supervisor for it. Naturally so since she is the witch of the faculty. She is the witch faculty member that we know of. We literally only know Alaric, Dorian, and Emma as being the faculty figures of the school. Right? We haven't met any other teachers, have we? I don't think so. That's pretty sad. We should really be meeting some actual teachers. I know maybe we saw... maybe at the beginning of season 1, did we meet any other teachers? They need to fix that, like, right now. But anyway, so there's that. Second storyline with the crumbling sand clock. This is kind of where everything intermingles with each other, because we have the Saltzman family trying to find a way to stop the clock from breaking, because once it breaks, all that dark black magic is going to go right back into Josie, and a little bit more chaos is going to ensue. But also we get the creature, Qareen, trying to retrieve the sand clock by orders by the Necromancer, which we don't see in this episode. We do see two factors kind of going on there. We do see Alaric as a subplot going to Sheriff Mack to kind of get some advice. He's pretending that he's going for research for his novel that he's working on, and he's trying to ask her, like, what are the different techniques you can defuse a bomb type of thing, because he's trained the sand clock as a bomb in a normal world situation. So there's that. We do also have the twins thinking of sending it to a brand new prison world that they could create. At the end of it, they do have the support of the rest of the witches, the Covens. We do find out, I did have my question from the previous video, that as a school, as part of Coven Day, they do celebrate all the different covens that the students are associated with to kind of bring more awareness and stuff. So there's that. But then also, in this show of solidarity, all the witches came together to help Josie and Lizzie not only create a new Ascendant, but also create a new prison world to send the sand clock there, so that if it were to crack, it's not going to come back into Josie and wreak havoc on all of them. However, though, Alyssa Chang manipulates that spell and connects the Saltzman family to the original Ascendant and sends them to the prison world that they had created, when the twins had created with Bonnie when they were kids. Well, I'm assuming the sand clock went to the new one that they all just created. So that was something there. Before that happened, we do get the Qareen getting defeated by Wade, who just found out and got confirmed that he was not a witch, but actually a fairy. So he had a little bit of self-discovery there for him. Now with Landon's training, we do see Hope trying to train Landon with like the regular like physical training and stuff, but ultimately in the end she refuses to do so because she doesn't want him to be a hero. She doesn't want him to be put in a situation where he can sacrifice himself, because she ultimately wants him to survive. If anything, she'd rather sacrifice herself to allow for him and the rest of her friends and those she loves to live on. So that is something there. But he is more determined. If Hope can't train him, then he's going to find someone else will, because he wants to be able to stand there alongside her and actually be useful, instead of just being the one stuck on the sidelines and like hoping for someone else to save him. You know what I mean? So that's something there. So last scene of the episode, as I mentioned, the Saltzman family are stuck in the prison world, and the prison world is actually looks like more of the boarding house than it does like the boarding school, as you know, with like the whole fireplace. I'm assuming it's the living room, the fireplace scene. I'm pretty sure I saw the pool table in the back, if you remember the original setup of how it was on the Vampire Diaries. And then they do find out that not only are they stuck there in the prison world that the twins created with Bonnie back in season 8, but also Sebastian is there to greet them, and the twins find out that, oh, Sebastian didn't actually leave, but he was actually put into the prison world. So that is something there. Moving on to characters, though, Alyssa Chang. This episode really does provide a lot of backstory to her, which is pretty surprising considering we got introduced to her in the previous episode. But we do get, of course, the 3 different sets of flashbacks. One happening 8 years ago when she was orphaned and approached by Alaric to become a student at the boarding school. A second one is 4 years ago, when they're a little bit more of teenagers, and then one happened 2 years ago. But in all of them, we see her terrorizing the school with her magic and her attitude. Initially, 2 years ago, she agreed to have her memories erased so she can have a brand new start, but then those memories were restored when Josie did the whole black magic purge spell over everyone. So she not only got her memories of Hope back and anything connected to Malivore, but she also got those memories back that she agreed to have erased. Although now she's ticked off, making it seem like it was against her will. So that is going to cause problems later, and it did, because she took her revenge out on the Saltzman family. So there's that. Now with Wade, we do see him not only have his own self-discovery of not only finding out that he's a fairy, but actually getting confirmation that he is a fairy. He's not like, he was misdiagnosed, as he said. And he's also a fantastic illustrator with that drawing and that presentation he did. He's like, well done. We do find out that while he believes that since he never knew his parents, he thinks that it's possible that Malivore maybe got to them before he ever had the chance of knowing them, or maybe that's why he doesn't remember them at all. So that's something there. I'm glad that we got a little bit more about Wade. Hopefully he sticks around in a recurring character role, and maybe hopefully be bumped up as a series regular like Caleb got the chance to do. So we'll have to wait and see about that. We do get a little bit of a bit more interaction with Jed. He was actually caught making out with Alyssa Chang on Hope's bedroom, Hope's bed. I did like the fact that, even though I hate that he hooked up with Alyssa, I do like the fact that he at least showed some loyalty to Hope by looking remorseful and apologizing to her that he was brought into this whole mess between her and Alyssa. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry, Hope. And then he dashes out. I mean, like, he gets points from me for that, because I'm not liking Alyssa at all. I am not on board her train. So the fact that Jed is fully aware that, like, what he was doing with her was kind of wrong and kind of like going against the Hope train, then, like, I'm okay. Jed's still good in my books as far as I'm concerned. And then also, we do get Ethan. He's not seen, but he is mentioned from Sheriff Mack that he just got into another fight. And Alaric just points out, he kind of makes a comparison between him and Sebastian. He even says that, like, if anyone, I had wished that Lizzie, like, implied that he had wished that Lizzie went for a guy like Ethan instead of Sebastian. So I don't know if we'll ever see Ethan or his sister Maya again, since they're back at Mystic Falls and Hope doesn't go there anymore and Alaric's not the principal there anymore. So I don't know how we would be able to see the two of them again unless it's through Sheriff Mack, but we rarely see her as it is. So that's the only update as well. We also get the update, or at least the confirmation, the fact that Maya has had a girlfriend before, with the story that Sheriff Mack shared about that. But, or I'm assuming if I read the situation right, but I don't know if, like, it was a memory she was sharing with him, or if it was, like, a recent. So that confirms whether or not Maya is single or not. Again, not sure if we're ever going to see her again, but we'll have to wait and see about that. I still think that they're somehow connected to the supernatural world. I still think that Ethan or Maya, either one of them, are untriggered werewolves. Maybe that's one way to bring them into the boarding school. I hope. I just want to see more of them, because Hope was great when she was with either of them. So I know that'll cause issues if Ethan were to come back, because he actually hinted that he wanted to go out with Hope. And now that she's back with Landon, that might cause another love triangle that I don't want to see. Not that I don't want to see it. I mean, Hope is great with everybody, but I just don't want that the angst stuff in that aspect. But anyways, I digress. Let's move on to tidbits very quickly. We do have Alaric having asked Sheriff Mack out to dinner. She says yes, and then he got popped into the prison world, so hopefully he doesn't miss out on that date. Chances are he will, because that tends to be the cliche of it all. We do see Hope's last scene of the episode confronting Alyssa Chang about the Ascendant that she had hidden away, and she's demanding to know what she had done to the twins. I don't think she's aware that Alaric has also disappeared too. She just knows that she was present when Josie and Hope just suddenly, Josie and Lizzie just suddenly went away. Hope is Hope. Never mind. We do see that you kind of see that MG and Caleb were only really seen during the whole cheer fest going for Wade. They had a brief scene when it was confrontation between the vampires and the werewolves, but they didn't really have much going on for them in this episode. We definitely do not see Raphael whatsoever. I'm wondering when we're actually going to get him again. So we have to wait and see about that. And then also a little side thing, if you didn't notice though, the original twins that played Josie and Lizzie back on the Vampire Diaries, I believe they were the Mumford twins, they actually reprised their roles in the flashbacks featured 8 years ago for Josie and Lizzie. So it was a little fun surprise there to have them coming back to play their original characters. So that was pretty fun there. It's surprising how much they've grown already too. It's mind-boggling, but I love that they were able to come back for that. So there's that. But let's move. Also, I just want to talk about the riddle. I forgot it in my notes, but Alaric specifically mentioned the Sphinx Riddle that we first had brought to our attention in 207. And again, up on screen, it's what it's reading. And I think a little bit more of it has been kind of revealed in a sense, or at least from my interpretations of it. So I just wanted to share it with you now. If I'm wrong, or if you have a different interpretation, please let me know in the comments down below. Or if you agree with me, please let me know. I want to know if I have any possible way that I could be interpreting this correctly. But in this first part, there are two prisoners. One is the master of his cage. The other returns home without power. I don't know if 2 by 2 prisoners, it means 2 prisoners in the same situation, or if it's just talking about 2 people who just happen to be prisoners in their specific circumstances. Because if that is the case, one is the master of his cage. I'm thinking that's Kai in the prison world, because if the Saltzman family is stuck in the prison world where we are to believe it's the same one that Kai is stuck in, then that could lead up to Kai's return in 212 with them still being stuck there, and that could be in reference to the fact that he is the master of that cage. He has been that master for the last 16 years. So that is something there. Also, the other returns home without power. Immediately, I thought if it didn't have anything to do with the prison world, because the only other option would be Sebastian, possibly. But if the prisoner had nothing to do with the prison world, like if both of them didn't have to do with it, this one I think is the Necromancer, because as we saw in the previous episode, the Necromancer returned home without power. He came back as a human, and it was only after a year was he able, through practice, to regain his power again. So that's why I think it might be referring to the Necromancer for that instance. For the part where it said the sins of the father are visited upon the daughters here and not here, I'm thinking that's referring to Alyssa Chang's revenge, how Alaric's decision to even think about erasing her memories is one of his sins being brought against him, and the fact that also his daughters got trapped with him in the prison world due to Alyssa's revenge against him. The fact that it's here and not here could also refer the fact that about the prison world as well. So that's one interpretation I had. The other interpretation is the fact the sins of the father could also refer to what happened between Alaric and Kai, and then Kai might want to do repercussions against him through the twins. So we'll have to wait and see about that in 212. But it's definitely I definitely think it's connected to the prison world somehow with the situation the Saltzman family is in right now. So there's that. And the other part of the riddle that Alaric specifically mentions is the whole when time fractures, darkness overwhelms. That I think, and I think Alaric thought it as well, was in reference to the whole sand clock and how they were trying to find a way to stop it from cracking, because once it cracks, all that black magic, all that darkness inside of it is supposed to go into Josie, and from her visions or her warning visions, it's supposed to overwhelm her to the point that she is called, quote-unquote, Dark Josie. Also, her representation of it, when we see Dark Josie mirroring current Josie, it looked like her hair was a lot darker. Not only the fact that she had black eyes, and black veins around her eyes, as if she had kind of like the darkness sickness that Supernatural experienced in season 11 with Sam in 1102. Kind of like that, but also the fact that her hair looked a lot darker too. So it could be in reference to something like that. So that's my interpretation of the riddle. I really had to remember. I didn't really remember it until Alaric brought it up in the episode, so I thought I might talk about it in this video here. So let's move on from that to most shocking moment of the episode. I think it was the fact that Sebastian was sent to the boarding house prison world that the twins made when they were kids. Because if anything, if Sebastian had to be sent to any prison world, why would they send him to the same prison world where Kai is currently trapped? Because after 16 years, I would assume that Kai found a way to escape his own bonds, but he might not know how to escape the prison world itself. So to find out that not only is Sebastian in a prison world, but to be in that same one, I was shocked by that. I didn't think that Emma any witch would have the power to use the prison world unless certain situations lined up specifically. But that was a surprise there for sure. I mean, I kind of figured we'd get the prison world again, especially when Kai is supposed to be coming back, but I didn't expect it to be coming back in this way with our, I guess, normal characters, not our special guest characters, but our normal ones. So that was a shock in itself. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. I absolutely love the friendship between Landon and Wade. It was great little aspect, because essentially by the end of the episode, these two are, I hate to say it, but they are the odd ones out. They're the only Phoenix, and they're the only fairy at the school, and they're just trying to find a way to fit in with a school that is filled with a bunch of werewolves, a bunch of witches, and a bunch of vampires. It makes sense. They want to seem like they aren't as different to everybody, because out of all of them, they're the anomalies. As much as I hate to say it, but they don't know what it means, but they don't have any research about what it actually means to be a fairy or what it means to actually be a phoenix. It's like brand new territory for all of them. So I just love the fact that they got to have some screen time together and actually got to bond and actually get to build on this friendship. I hope we see a lot more of it in the future for sure. But I just love Landon's belief in Wade and how he was by his side. And they just they did a lot of the legwork in this episode when it came to figure out what the creature was. So I do appreciate that. And then also when Wade just had his like that moment of the school just cheering for him, and just like not only when he thinks it's fake at first, but then when they actually started cheering for him when Landon was trying to prove a point and try to get Wade to believe in himself, like that whole sequence that was happening, I actually teared up a little bit. Like my eyes were getting welled up. The idea that the whole school would just band together, even though they were under the wrong impression of what was going on, the idea that they would come together and still orchestrate this plan to help out one of their own, and to have Wade's reaction to it and feel like when he's believed that like no one thought he mattered or everyone was bullying him, and just from to have that moment of spotlight and seeing people cheer for him, that was such a beautiful thing. And it just like it got me all emotional. And then by the end of it, for him to actually prove to all of them that what he was saying was actually truth. I am a fairy, look at my wings. This is what I've been saying all along. It's kind of like proving that like what I say does matter in a sense. It's like, I've been telling you the truth. You shouldn't dismiss what I've been saying. And then here is for all of you to see that I was right in my belief. Like, you know, I felt like Wade had a good episode. Like he had a good moment for sure. I totally felt for Wade. I was just like, yes, he did it. Awesome. Another favorite I did have was when we see, despite the episode having everybody at each other's throats, I just love it when all the witches came together to help out Josie and Lizzie, not only create a new Ascendant, but to send the sand clock away. It was great just to see that solidarity between them. It was a fabulous moment up until the moment where we learned about Alyssa Chang's deceit. But it was just good to see not only how many witches there were at that school, but to also see them coming together was just fantastic. And then also under the guidance of Emma as well too. I hope she's here for a few more episodes and it wasn't just for this episode, but we'll have to wait and see about that. And then another favorite I did have was Hope's last scene in the episode, and that is when she's confronting Alyssa about the Ascendant. This whole time, Hope's been kind of trying to do you shouldn't resort to violence. Obviously, in a normal world situation, you should not resort to violence. But we're stuck in a supernatural world here, where kind of violence is part of their everyday thing. And I was kind of glad that Hope she did what she needed to do to get her message across and get the answers that she needed because her friends were in trouble. So it was awesome to just have Hope be in that position to kind of be the enforcer, essentially. Yes, you shouldn't bully your own bully, theoretically, in the real world, but we're not in the real world in this show, so I'll allow it. But I just love it because Alyssa was kind of tearing Hope down a lot in this episode, that I felt like it was about time that Hope kind of like stood up for herself. Yes, Hope kind of did the same thing back to her, but I felt that was more because of the Qareen's influence, while as Alyssa, she was already kind of being like a jerk without the Qareen's influence, so it's like kind of a little bit of payback. But anyways, I just love that Hope was able to not only use her magic, but she also took a stand to get answers that she needed immediately. And the fact that she was able to pinpoint as fast as she did that something was wrong and Alyssa was connected to it, love that. Little worried when Emma wasn't going to remember any of that, so I'm glad that Hope clued into something was up. So that's something there. Moving on to the top 3 P moments. Alyssa Chang herself. I do not like her. I was willing to give her a chance, and those flashbacks, I was willing to side with her, but then to find out that she actually enacted her revenge despite getting her memories back, I was like, hold up. No, you are just being a bitch right now. You need to back up. This is not acceptable. And it's just like, also the fact that she was putting blame on Alaric and Emma. And I'm like, did we not see the same flashback? You gave your consent to, like, you allowed them. It's not like they took her memories away by force. She knew what was going on. She agreed that taking her memories away was for the best. So I don't get why you're getting all pissy about that when you find out, oh, they took away my memories. You did this against me. So there's that. Granted, she didn't really have an option because, like, as she said, she's an orphan. They were going to kick her out of school because she was being a terror to the school. And it's like, it's either you stop or you get thrown out, and you've had so many warnings that it's time to throw you out. But then she even said, like, where am I supposed to go? I have nowhere to go. So kind of like her getting her memories erased was really the only option for her. But at the same time, it's not like they forcibly took those memories away. You know what I mean? Like, she actually understood why she needed to have those done. She understood that maybe those were the source of why she was so angry all the time. But it just seemed like a lot more reasons. Like, the way she framed it, it made it seem like they did a lot worse to her, when I don't think they did. But then at the same time, she's also alluding to the fact that Emma and Alaric have done a lot more horrible things in regards to those troublesome, can't be saved students that they've had. And now with finding out what happened they did to Sebastian, I'm also questioning that. But I'm not trusting Alyssa Chang at all. I gotta hear Alaric and Emma's side of the story first, because I just don't trust her, because she's a little, like, since she was 8, she's kind of like up and down to the extreme. So I'll just don't like her whatsoever. I was willing to give her a chance, but that is out the window. And there's the timer. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. Emma said that Alaric called her back to help deal with a troubling student, and she mentioned repeating history again to Dorian in regards to that issue. But I'm wondering if she was referring to Alyssa in the whole memory wipe thing, or if she was referring to Sebastian about sending him to the prison world. Or it's assumed that it was Emma who sent Sebastian to the prison world, but I don't think so, because she hadn't arrived yet when he was, quote-unquote, gone in the previous episode. So there's that. They also, another question, did all the students that got, quote-unquote, sent away get put in the prison world, and it's like the heretics all over again from season 7 of the Vampire Diaries, or is it something else that they've done? Because also Emma did mention the fact that they weren't going to, when it came to the idea of expelling Alyssa as an option, Emma defended her, saying that she wasn't like the others, we could find another way. So I'm just wondering, who else have they expelled, and what kind of students were they to get it to that extreme, to the point where, like, Emma's fighting for that to not happen at all to her. So that's a question there. Another question was, and it's pretty much I pretty much touched on it in the piece, but the question is, and it actually is written here, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with Alyssa Chang? I already talked about it in the peeves, but it's pretty much her blaming Emma and Alaric. I feel like she did some pretty extreme repercussions, when unless there's something else that happened that we're completely not aware of at the moment. But based off what I've seen, it seems like her revenge against the Saltzman family is a lot more damage than the whole act of her taking her memories away to give her a new life type of thing. It's like, I don't know. Punishment doesn't fit the crime, in my sense, unless something else had happened that we're unaware of. But I just fully felt like the WTF moment when her revenge plan happened, and then when she attacked Emma as well, too. It's just like, what the hell? So that's something there. Also, funny thing, too, in class today, I randomly swore after, like, finding out some really shocking news. And all my classmates around me just looked at me as, like, they were like, wait, did you just swear at me? And I'm thinking, like, I've sworn before. Why are you, like, reacting to me like this? And it just realized to me, like, in these videos, I'm pretty sure I've sworn a bunch of times. Not only in Legacy videos, but I've sworn in any of my recap videos. So to me, it boggles my mind that to my classmates, it's weird. Even when I'm reading scripts during table reads and I have to swear in front of them, they just all make it seem like a big deal. I'm like, I'm swearing. It's like, it's not like I'm a kid. Like, I'm in my 20s. It's like, swearing's normal. So it's like, why are you, like, I just found it weird that, like, they thought it was weird that I was swearing when I just literally just swore right now. So it's like, I don't know. Anyone else find that funny or get that reaction? Because I'm just wondering. But anyways, moving on to the next question. Hypothetically speaking, what do you think is better in regards to Sebastian's case, or just in general? Do you think it's better to be desiccated for so long, or do you think it's better to be stuck in a prison world? Because Sebastian's kind of been stuck in both situations. He's been desiccated for 400 plus years, and now he's been stuck in a prison world. And we know through Kai's experience that he's been stuck in a prison world a long time. And then through the heretics in season 7, they have been both desiccated or had they? Yeah, desiccated, and they've been stuck in a prison world. So I'm just wondering, if you had to pick which punishment to do, would you rather be desiccated or would you rather be stuck in a prison world? I honestly think that I would be it's pretty tricky. Depends on what kind of situation the prison world is in. Like, if it's like certain restrictions to it, then like for example, in Kai's original prison world, it was a world that just didn't have magic in it. So like he was stuck being a normal human being in that sense. He couldn't die. Anytime he tried, he was brought back to life in that prison world. He was stuck reliving the same day over and over again. But he had full reign of the whole world because he was the only one in it. So it's like, I guess depending on what kind of restrictions are put on the prison world I'm stuck in, it would depend on my answer, but I'm pretty sure I'd prefer that because I could do a lot or I could do so little in my time stuck there as opposed to being desiccated and kind of put in a forced coma, essentially. But then, I don't know. I can't remember if desiccation is like you're just asleep without dreaming. You're just asleep with no dreams, or if you're asleep and you're like still in pain or something. I don't know. But I'm wondering what you guys would pick. If you had to pick a punishment as a vampire, would you rather be desiccated or would you rather be stuck in a prison world for, let's say, 10 years or for however long? Would you rather be desiccated or stuck in a prison world? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'm actually quite interested in hearing what you have to say about those two scenarios. So there's that. And last question. Does Hope stay in contact with Maya or Ethan? I mean, we haven't seen them since she kind of left Mystic High. I'm wondering what they think has happened to her. It's like, why'd you ditch the school or something? But I hope we see them again. Again, like I mentioned before, I really think they're connected to the supernatural world somehow. I hope they're both untriggered werewolves and they somehow, one of them does trigger it and then get brought to the school. And we see a little bit more of them be brought into the world, but who knows? But I think there has to be something more because they hyped up their casting for it as if like they were going to be some major like characters in this season, but we haven't we only saw them in like that first half of 2A. So I'm just wondering if we'll see them again or how much of a bigger role they play in the bigger picture. You know what I mean? So that's something there. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 211, it looks like we're going to get Cupid. So that's something. We do see Dorian and Emma, so Emma is back, possibly starting things up again between them. Don't know if that's their choice or if it's because of the Cupid's influence. But we do see Landon being tasked to deal with the Cupid, and we do see the Cupid kind of eating people with his own fangs. And to be clear, for one, I don't like the fact that they revealed in the promo that the Cupid was a carnivore, essentially. But they did show his fangs, and it kind of reminded me of the werewolf fangs on Supernatural. Like the full-on teeth. It's not just the canine teeth that elongate like vampires usually would, but it's like full-on, like different set of teeth and everything. So I'm a little disappointed that we got to, which is different from how the legacy werewolves actually have their teeth. But, so thinking more of Supernatural werewolf fangs. But I'm a little disappointed that we saw that face in the promo as opposed to getting that as a shock in the actual episode. So now I'm expecting it. I'm expecting Cupid to go bad now because of it. But based off the synopsis, though, for the episode, it reads that after learning that Josie, Lizzie, and Alaric are in trouble, Hope leads the charge to save them. Meanwhile, Landon seizes the chance to keep an eye on the latest monster in town in order to prove himself useful. Elsewhere, MG's attempt at a perfect first date with Kim takes a disastrous turn when Hope enlists his help in her plan. Caleb also appears. So it looks like we're going to see Hope's Avenger Squad back in action again. So can't wait to see that. But it'll be interesting to see how exactly she takes charge on the situation and how in what capacity the Cupid has its effects on its people or its victims. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then after this episode is when we get Kai's return. So that's something there. This episode actually happens, 2 weeks before Valentine's actually does. So, plus I don't think it's actually Valentine's Day in the show itself. So, it's just one of those monsters matching up with our holiday, but not necessarily their holiday. So that's something there. But otherwise, that's pretty much it, guys. What'd you guys think of the episode? What'd you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions about that. Also, don't forget the questions that I asked. Please comment down below about them as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, or just get your own perspectives for those as well, as random as my questions are. But otherwise, that is that. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all the good stuff, all fun in one place. Go check that out. A little organized, a little more detailed, but still everything's a work in progress as well. Everything still needs to be updated. I just finished week 3 of term 2 for now. So be patient with me on that. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and have a good night. Bye.